So traditional English muffins, I'm super excited about this recipe. In a bowl I've got 375 grams of whole milk, I've added an 8 gram sachet of dried active yeast, and to that I've added 10 grams of sea salt. Give it a quick mix up with your hand, and then I'm going to add 500 grams of all-purpose flour, that's 13.2% protein. I'm mixing this by hand, but of course you could use a stand mixer if you wanted to. And I'm gently going to bring all of these ingredients together, scraping the sides of the bowl as I go. And I'm going to bring it into a big kind of shaggy mess. So the key to this recipe is a long ferment overnight in the fridge. So once we've got this all mixed together, we're going to cover it. And we're going to pop it in the fridge for about an hour, and that's going to allow the flour to be hydrated by the milk, and it's going to make it easier to knead. But it's really important that we do this in the fridge. We don't want to do this at room temperature because otherwise it will start to proof too quickly, and we want to slow this process down to build flavour. Now this dough's been resting for 1 hour in the fridge, as I said, covered, and as you can see it's really tightened up, and that's basically because the dough is cold. But what has happened is all of that flour has now been hydrated by the milk, and that's going to make it a lot easier to knead out. And this is the stage where we're starting to build the gluten network. It will then be finished off later when we put it in the fridge for the long proof overnight. So the goal here is just to do a few stretches backwards and forwards, just working the dough generally to get a really nice smooth finish. And once we've got that, we're going to work this into a ball. Pick it up and pop it into our bowl again. This is going to be covered. Make sure it's well covered. A plastic bag's perfect for this. Pop it in your fridge and leave it to proof anything between 18 to 24 hours. And here we are. It's the next day. This has been in the fridge for 20 hours. And there's two noticeable things about this dough. The first one is it's still very firm. That's because it's been proofed in the fridge over the night. And the second one is that it hasn't doubled in volume, which is absolutely fine. We wanted a long, slow proof so that we could build a depth of flavour in that dough. So now it's time to get this divided up into dough balls. And the easiest way to do that is to weigh your dough. Now, if you followed my recipe, you should have about 890 grams of dough. If you divide that by 9, you're going to get dough balls that are around 100 grams, which is the perfect size for an English muffin. Now, as you'll see in a minute, I got my math wrong, and I'm only going to end up with 8 of these muffins and a small piece of dough left over. So trust me, dividing this by 9 is the easiest way to do it. Now, of course, you do not need to weigh this dough out. I've just got a bit of OCD when it comes to baking, so feel free to eyeball it, no problem at all. Now, in my mind, these have always been formed into little breads and then either cooked on a cast iron griddle or the cast iron inside of an Aga or a Rayburn. So I'm not using a pastry cutter, and doing it this way saves a lot of rolling out and a lot of wastage. Now, no bench flour whatsoever. You do not need to dust the work surface. Pick up a dough ball and then gently push it down into the surface, keeping your fingers relaxed around the outside. And you're just going to turn this around and around and around in circles and slowly raise your palm up, and gradually you will feel the tension of the ball build and you'll end up with a really nice round dough ball. It takes a little bit of practice, but for sure you'll get there. So before these guys get their final proof, I like to give them a bit of a flatten out and impregnate them with a little bit of that semolina flour, which is absolutely classical for an English muffin. So dip them in the flour, give them a push down, and then I'm going to pop them in a baking tray that I've lined with some non-stick parchment paper. And then these are going to get covered with a large plastic bag, and I'm going to proof these out on the work surface at room temperature. That's probably going to take 2 to 3 hours. You're going to have to judge this by eye and feel. It's very important that these get a full proof. We want them to be maxed out before we cook them. We don't want them to have any oven spring when they either hit the cast iron pan or go into the oven, because otherwise they'll burst and we'll lose that traditional English muffin shape. So you're just going to have to be vigilant and keep your eye on them. And it may take 1 or 2 attempts, but for sure you're going to get this in the end. Okay, these are maxed out, they are fully proved, so being careful here is paramount because we need to get these dipped in some more semolina flour. Now traditionally this goes on the top and the bottom, so try to avoid the edges as much as you can, and then we're gently going to get them into the cast iron pan. It's super important that that pan isn't too hot because we need these to cook all the way through before they're overcooked on either the top or the bottom. So this cast iron pan has been heating up for the last 10 minutes on a medium-low temperature. That's number 3 on my hob. Now these little guys might still have a bit of spring left in them when they hit the heat, so it's important that we don't overcrowd the pan and we just leave a nice gap between the muffins. Now these have been cooking for about 5 minutes, and at this stage really we're looking to set the shape. We can adjust the colour on the tops and the bottom a bit later. So now they've set nicely on the bottom, we're going to flip them onto the top, give them a gentle push down in the pan just to set that flat surface on the top of the muffin, and then we're going to slide them into a preheated oven. It's been heated to 175 degrees Celsius on bake mode. Now these are going to cook for about 5 or 6 minutes, but you'll need to keep your eye on them. I like to use a combination of the oven and the hob because these are deep muffins. It means we know they're going to be cooked all the way through. Here you can see they've got an excellent golden colour. We can just flip them over and correct the colour on the other side. You're going to know when these are cooked because they're going to feel nice and light. They'll be hollow on the inside and you've got that really nice crusty texture on the top and bottom. And that's it. I like to let them cool properly, otherwise they can be a bit doughy. I'm going to get one of these whipped in half, toasted, buttered, and let you know what it's like. Okay, let's give these a try. Oh yeah. Okay, so a great little recipe. We've got excellent texture on the bottoms and the tops from where they've been cooked in the cast iron pan. Lovely and soft in the middle, that'll be the addition of the milk in the recipe. And a complex flavour from the overnight proof in the fridge. A really good little recipe. So if you want to cook traditional English muffins, you should give this recipe a go. And listen, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon.